So, you might ask, well, how am I'm not benefiting from I'm not benefiting from the legacy of racism. I've got to work really hard, blah, 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 blah. I know that. So I'm going to get into what the benefits of racism have been over the history of this country, okay? Okay. First off, Bill O'Reilly can go eat a fucking bowl of dicks, all right? Because he just said that, yes, slaves built the White House, but they were well fed and they were housed. Seriously? Okay. If you really believe that, Bill, let me know where your grandchildren live. I'll feed them, I'll clothe them, and I'll make them build something. Okay? I'll make them build something. I'll whip them. I'll put them in a metal box in the sun. And at the time of this recording, it's about 104 degrees in Southern California. I can only imagine what it's like in Texas and in the South. Okay? But that's the downsides of racism, all right? The way that this country has benefited from racism, okay, is this. Slaves built the railroads. And 90% of major businesses in this country get their materials by way of train. All right? I live in Long Beach, California. We have one of, if not the largest port, if not west of the Mississippi River, in the country. Okay, when stuff comes from overseas, it gets on the docks not too far from my apartment, and then it goes on trains and goes all over the countries. Okay? Walmart, I'm looking at you. All right? You benefit from slavery because those very train tracks that are used were put there by slaves. All right? This country was founded on the agricultural empire that came out of the South. And the machinery for the agriculture was slavery. Okay, the financial nest egg that this country used to expand was put there by slave labor. That's one of the benefits of slavery. That is one of the ways that this country has benefited from it. And if you're going, well, that was a long time ago and all that stuff. In my last video, I pointed out how you can't just free slaves or just give black people a right to vote and then send them into the world with nothing. And I mean that. Nothing. No money, no home, no tools. All right? I want all of you guys watching this to understand that you grew up in the house that your parents had. Okay? I'm saying had because a lot of people rented for a long time. Not as many people own property. Not many people in the generation that I was born in own property at all, and our parents actually owned less than their parents. It's kind of one of those things, all right? But wherever you lived as a child, somebody built that. Somebody put it there. Somebody was able to afford it, okay? And most of the industry in this country benefits from racism in the sense that it doesn't hire anyone that it considers to be lesser than. And as we covered in my last video, black people are considered to be lesser than in most cases in most areas, be it education, work ethic, credit reports. Oh my God. You know, so they don't have the credit, they don't have the education, they don't fit in with the rest of the clientele or the rest of the cast. So that racism allowed so many businesses like banks and production places and car dealerships and the entire rise of the U.S. steel industry. All right? And all of that came as a benefit of America's way to expand due to its financial stability of the agricultural empire it built on the back of slaves. Okay, those slaves still haven't been paid, and this is not a video about reparations. That's a whole different subject. All right? But if you don't come from slave descent from this country, that means that if you were born here, you were born into some sort of place to launch from. And every place that was built to launch from manufacturing industry, the travel industry, i.e. transportation, like getting things from one place to another, that was built on the labor of slaves. All right? Fast forward a couple of hundred years. All right? Call it 150 years to the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, okay? Stuff that's marketed is marketed in such a way that says, be a respectable person. Don't be uneducated. Don't be violent. Or don't be what you consider black people to be. Buy this thing. Buy this product. Do you want to look, low, poor, and classless? All right? But all that can be easily debated. So I am going to state something that cannot be debated. Redlining and gerrymandering. All right? Redlining, for those of you guys that are watching this, if you're not very, very versed in American history, is the act, well, it started by taking a look at where a lot of people of color, mainly black people, were concentrated in living, or where the banking companies that own the property did not want black people to live, and they used a red marker to mark off the border of where these people weren't going to be moving. All right? That is a fact. That is historic fact. All right? I have a friend who will remain safely anonymous who was a car dealer, and he was told by his superiors at the dealership that black people don't have credit. So, yeah, you'll get your commission if you make them pay cash. That is a benefit of racism. It really is. It's saying that black people, if you see a black person walk in here, they don't have credit. And we'll pay you extra if you get them to pay for the car in cash instead of taking a loan. That is a benefit, and that is an industry standard, according to my friend, who, by the way, is not black. Now, the benefits of racism in this country come down to redlining, gerrymandering, and a history of having a nest egg of any kind. Okay? If you grew up poor and white, shit sucked for you. It really did. I used to live in a trailer park. I know how bad shit can suck. All right? But if you grew up anywhere else, you benefit from the sense, even if you're white and poor, with all you need to show most of the time is an attempt to want to be better. That's all. You can go buy a used suit and someone will give you an opportunity. Now, I mentioned in the first video that I went to college. For the record, I went to college for physics. And I have a couple of other undergraduate degrees that we're not going to get into. But I'm a college graduate. And I do very well over the phone because of my voice. Because I'm articulate. Because I have a high vocabulary. Because I have a nasally sounding voice. Okay? I benefit from that. But I benefit from that because people don't know that I am this shade of milk chocolate. As soon as people see my skin, they're like, oh, well, I want to talk to the person that I was on the phone with. And I'm like, yeah, that would be me. You guys have the benefit. The racism there is that when I'm assumed to be white, which is whenever people can't see my face, I get more opportunity than when people know that I'm black. Just think about that for half a minute. And people go, well, it's not racism, it's just black people as a whole have a tendency of going to worse schools and not having as good an education. So stop. Why is that? I mean, schools are funded by the state, right? So why is it that schools in some places that happen to have a lot of people of color happen to have less funding and worse teachers? And that's one of those things. The racism that's out there is it's okay to put shitty teachers in these inner city neighborhoods. these inner city neighborhoods who are primarily people of color, mainly black and Latino. But don't you dare put that subpar teacher in a neighborhood where the average median income is $130,000 a year. Cannot put them there, And that's where you guys are benefiting from racism. The major benefit, and then there's gerrymandering. Now, gerrymandering is really a senator saying, or a public official pretty much saying, well, I got to get all the people that would vote for me in a place where voting for me would matter. Yeah, think about that for just a second. I have to make sure that the people that are already my followers have more of a voice than the people who aren't my followers. Just think about that. And the people who aren't their followers are the ones that actually suffer suffer consequences from their legislation. So that's how you benefit from racism. The opportunity that you got probably came from someone assuming that you were a stand-up person. If you're white and you have a prison record, your life is going to suck, but I promise you there's somebody out there that'll take a chance on you. And I promise you that there are more people out there that are willing to take a chance on you than there are people willing to take a chance on me. And I don't have a prison record. And that's how you benefit from racism. And it's not that you know this. It's not that you aim for this. And no one is accusing you of being the one who set this system in place. No one is accusing you of intentionally having these benefits. And I want to make that clear. No one is saying you suck because you set this system up. No one is saying that because you didn't. This was set up by somebody's great-great-grandfathers. All right? But you still get the benefits from it. And while you have the benefits, you have the power to change it. Way more power to fix the system so that it's more equitable than I do. And that's why we have to talk. That's why we have to come to some sort of compromise. That is the real reason that it's so important that you don't deny what's happening. Because you guys collectively have more power than we do collectively. We don't have large enough voting blocks to fire the judges that punish our kids worse than they punish your kids. We don't have the money to put a politician in place that would be more equitable, that will treat all criminals equally shittily, or listen to the extenuating circumstances of all people regardless of the color of their skin. We don't have the power to do that. Even when we organize, we don't have the power to do that. We're in the last year of America's first black president, and yeah, he won the majority of the black vote, but I promise you that if the majority of the black vote plus the majority of you guys weren't there, we wouldn't have the first black president. And it's good that you guys don't see race. I'm a big fan of that. But you know what? There are people out there who do. And those people decide housing. Those people call the police on kids sitting at bus stops. Those people call the police on children on playgrounds playing with the same toys as their white counterparts. That's the power that you guys have. I want you guys to think about that. I'm going to do one more video about solutions, okay? Because we can bitch all day. But someone once asked me, what is the benefit of knowing this? How can we make changes? So I'll see you guys in the next video, and I will answer that question, okay?